our January 14th, 2021 Zoom Rotary meeting. Not exactly sure which number Zoom this is, but we're getting up there now and hopefully closing in on it as far as Zoom goes. Let's see, how about Marcia, would you mind leading us in the pledge?
I would love nothing more than to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation with liberty and justice for all. Gosh, I hope I did that right.
It sounded perfect to me. Thanks, Marcia.
You bet.
All right, so let's see. Do we have any guests today? I see we have Paula with the port who will be presenting. We'll introduce her in a bit. Let's see, I see Lola's hand up.
I have a guest today. You might remember his dad, Phil Hutchinson. He was the longtime director of the Newport Chamber of Commerce, but my guest today is Matt Hutchinson.
All right, welcome, Matt. Marcia, I see your hand up too.
I just feel I have to disclose that I am so old. I believe I coached Matt Hutchinson on mock trial when he was in high school. That being said, I am really thrilled to have two guests today, Brian Gardner, Gretchen Havener, and I would love to get them information on joining with a couples membership.
Well, I think we could definitely help out with that, and welcome Brian and Gretchen. Good to have you here today. Let's see, anybody else? No? All right, I have just a few.
I may have the students of the month joining.
Oh, okay.
So Marcus Blair and Melanie Hanna. I see Marcus has joined. I don't see Melanie yet.
All right, welcome Marcus, good to have you here. Just a few announcements before we get into things. We received a few thank you letters. I've got one from Lincoln County School District from the HELP program, and they thanked us for our donation of the warm clothing. So thanks for everyone that dropped those off. And then we got a thank you from Rotary Polio Plus, thanking us for our generous contributions to the Polio Plus Fund. And they say that we've reduced polio cases by 99.9%. Now only 2 countries, Afghanistan and Pakistan, continue to report cases of wild polio. Our work isn't over. As long as one child is at risk, we'll continue our fight for a polio-free world. So that was nice. And kind of a bittersweet announcement. Nathan and Corinne Perry have received new marching orders from the Salvation Army. And sadly, they'll be leaving for their new post in Anaheim, decent weather that they're headed to at least, in roughly 3 weeks. So I know they'll be missed by our club and our community. They have a corporate membership through Salvation Army, and the good news is that we'll get to welcome Raymond and Jennifer Erickson King, the new Salvation Army officers. They plan to continue with Rotary through a corporate membership, so it'd be nice to welcome them in a few weeks. And on the topic of polio, I got a message from our district, Rotary. They're also starting to take a pretty active role in assisting with the COVID vaccination drive, which is, I think, a nice tie-in with the polio efforts. So District 5110 is holding a Rotary Now Leading Change event. It's an online forum, and it'll be held next Thursday at 7 p.m. via Zoom. The panelists include Dr. Dean Seidlinger, health officer and chief epidemiologist for the Oregon Health Authority, and Andres Kraigalund from UNICEF. The moderator is Rotarian Julie Manning, who's the VP at Samaritan Health Services. Julie is currently working with OHA on vaccine distribution for Benton, Lynn, and Lincoln counties. So she's instrumental in the efforts going on here in Lincoln County. And if you're interested in attending that forum, again, it's next Thursday, 7 p.m. And there's a link to register on the district website, which is district5110.org. So that should be a good one. And I know Ursula has been deeply involved in the vaccination efforts here in Lincoln County. Ursula, do you have anything you'd like to share on that front?
Really, things change minute by minute, and I did receive a media release that some of you might have seen that Lincoln County distributed yesterday. I can forward that if people would like to see it. It just kind of lays out who's in this first category, but it also says that per the governor's order, starting January 23rd, people who are 65 and older will be eligible to get their vaccines. I'm not at liberty to, share anything that I have heard about what that process is going to look like, because it's not official. And as I said, things change moment by moment. So I could tell you something that then changes. But there are plans underway to make it a mass clinic. And the other thing, starting the 23rd, the other thing is there is another media release that the health department is looking for volunteers of all sorts. So certainly retired medical professionals who may be able to actually give the vaccines, but also people who can be greeters or runners or data entry people. So they're looking for volunteers of all types. So maybe I can forward both those media releases to John Zabel, and you could put them out.
I can do that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks, Ursula. Nice to have some positive news on that front. And I've been hearing the schools are working towards the in-person teaching, which will sure be nice. I know that several of us have kids that can't wait for that to happen, who've been cooped up at home for the last 9 months, or going on 10 months, I guess. So anyway, yeah, good things to come, hopefully, with the vaccination efforts. I have a few things from today in history, January 14th. 1935 reports come in from Loch Ness, Scotland, from locals and tourists of sightings of the Loch Ness monster. It's described as a sea serpent estimated at over 50 feet long, and the Secretary of State for Scotland has forbidden the capture or shooting of the creature. It's also worth mentioning that Loch Ness, Scotland happens to be home to some of the strongest whiskey on earth, if there's any correlation. 1960, Elvis Presley is promoted to Sergeant Elvis Presley by the US Army. And 1979, Jimmy Carter proposes that Martin Luther King's birthday be a holiday, which it has been ever since. So let's see, I think with that, I will turn things over to our Sergeant at Arms, Bob. Oh, looks like you're still muted. There you go.
How am I doing now?
There you go.
Hello there, Rotarians. How are you?
Oh, Bob.
Boy, it's just not the same without you around me. But Peggy and Jim, how are you two doing? Are you there? Can they hear me?
Looks like they're muted too.
They must be muted. Okay, I'll bet Mary Kay's not muted. Don't forget, Mary Kay, about our secret.
Don't worry, Bob. For a change, I was muted.
Yeah, okay, well, it's good to have you back here again.
Doesn't happen very often, but occasionally I do mute, so.
Yeah. How did you folks like that weather? Anybody want to talk about what they did during the storm? That was quite the storm. Jeff, did you manage? Oh my God, you're full of food. John, Clark, how'd you manage in the storm? You probably didn't play golf, did you?
Did not play golf.
Oh, yeah.
There's lots of trees down on the golf course. Some big ones went down.
Oh,
Snapped off right at the base. They'll be sawing up logs for quite a while.
I don't think I've ever seen a 3-day storm like that. That was quite the deal. I know I thought I saw Rob Thompson, but I don't see him now. Rob?
They put in the chat they had to leave, Bob.
Oh, they did? Oh, is Kenny here? By golly, maybe the whole Flam-Dam family left. Let's just talk about our partners' birthdays. Chief Miranda, where are you? Oh, there you are. I understand that your wife, Sherry, is going to have a birthday rather soon.
Well, even more important than that, that happens to be on the same day as the presidential inauguration.
Oh my gosh, that isn't. Well, I think your birthday is going to be, Sherry's birthday is going to be better than inauguration.
I'm not too sure about that.
Well, it could be active. Yeah, it could be active. So let's talk about Sherry, though.
Okay. Go ahead.
How long have you known Sherry?
See, it's as of last month, it's been 45 years.
Oh my, oh my. And how old is she going to be?
She's going to be 64.
54?
64.
64.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and what are you going to do for her birthday?
Nothing.
Uh-huh.
Well, actually, I got a package that I'm sending up to her because she's up in Washington. And
Oh my gosh.
I won't see her until next month.
Oh, wow. Okay, what are you sending her in the package?
Well, I'm sending her a calendar, a potato masher, because when I was up there last month, I was going to make some mashed potatoes and she didn't have any potato masher to do that with. And then a coin.
A coin.
Yeah.
What kind of coin?
It's a U.S. Mint coin.
Uh-huh.
It's to do with women's rights and stuff like that.
Must be awfully proud of having your wife up in Washington for her birthday and you home here in Newport.
Well, she's gainfully employed, so that helps.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
What does she do?
She is a computer programmer, and she works on 911 systems in various places throughout the country, actually the world too. She's got London Ambulance as one of their contracts.
Wow. Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to say anything else about your wife's birthday and how proud you are? And
oh yeah, I'm really proud, and she's been with that company for 30 years, and she's a lot smarter than I am. So yeah, I'm really proud of her.
Okay, how proud are you?
How about, I guess we'll do $64.
$64 proud. Well, that's great. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's good. We appreciate that. Marcia.
Bob, I'm a little bit hurt.
Oh no. Oh no.
It's true, Bob. Do you have anything you want? I'm not going to be here next week, but there's something happening in a couple days.
I know something's happening in a couple of days, and I was going to get you next week. I was trying to be nice to you because we got you last week.
I'm going to be $57 happy about next week.
And why are you going to be $57 happy?
Well, we're going to celebrate my birthday, I guess. Let's just say.
Oh my gosh.
When I was growing up, I used to tease my mom and I would say, well, no matter how old you are, I can just add 30 to my age and that will tell me your age. But Sharon likes to say, Mom, I'll just add 40 to your age or subtract 40 from your age and that's how old you are. So that's just great, isn't it?
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, kids will be kids. Well, thank you very much for the contribution. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And I don't see anybody else that's at the meeting. So how about Happy Bucks? Are there any happy dollars out there? I'm happy because Julie Hanran's here again, but are there any other happy dollars?
I actually was going to say that I was happy to be back. I've missed so many meetings recently with everything that's been going on in the financial industry, and the last 2 days have been the quietest I've had since COVID started. But then on the other flip side of that, I think it's only going to last till Tuesday, because on Tuesday we will be open taking the second round PPP applications. So and I've already had massive amounts of interest in those, so I'll be busy doing those. But I'm $5 happy to be back at this meeting, and I haven't seen your face in a long time, Bob. You look like, do you have a new hairstyle?
You know, I did just get my hair done
I
a
thought
couple of days
so.
ago, and I got it highlighted, so I'm glad you noticed.
It looks really nice. It's shinier than normal.
Just get me so excited. Well, good. Yeah. Are there any other happy dollars out there? Jeff?
I got a happy dollar. Let's see, I'm $20 happy because Columbia Bank seems to be doing well. So this is kind of a question for Julie, is what's going on with Columbia Bank these days, Julie?
It's, we're doing well. So
I thought she just told us this.
Check or what?
Yeah, well, I was sort of talking about the stock price.
Yeah, it's so hard to know what's going on with stock market. We're pretty conservative, so we don't have a lot of losses. That's got to be driving that. Everybody in the financial sector right now is heavy on deposits because there's been all that idle money and everything sitting there. So we've really got to get busy on lending that out, but that's difficult with COVID. But yeah, I'm glad because I'm on the retirement phase of my life. I need all that to be going up, right? And I'm happy for another thing. It's Jeff, I'll be $10 more happy because Jeff just completed all of my old people estate planning stuff for me. Because it seems like you never help yourself in those things when you help other people doing all that stuff. And it took him 3 months to bill me. And I thought, wow, maybe I'm going to get this free. Well, I just got the bill a couple days ago, and it was about a third of what I thought it was going to be. So thank you.
Well, by golly, let's give Julie a hand for getting a real deal from an attorney. Speaking of attorneys, has anyone else got happy dollars? I want to tell you about an experience I had. Any other happy bucks? Because we've got to get onto our program. Well, this is one you're going to think about for the rest of the day because I've been thinking about it for a couple of weeks. I went to my attorney the other day and I said, "You're not going to believe this. I want to get married again." And he said, "Oh my God, Bob, you've got to think about this." I said, "I have. I want to marry a gal from outer space." And he thought there for a second, and he rubbed his chin, and he said, "Well, if you do, and if it doesn't work, she will be your space X." Think about that. I can see a lot of blank faces. So, Freddie, maybe you better take over.
No, we were all in shock because I was buying in that you were getting married again, and that's what we couldn't get over that. It took a minute.
I am, Julie. I am to my space X. But
I was going to give my prenup
as long as I stayed married.
I want to tell you a little something about that SpaceX guy. He became the world's wealthiest last Friday at 195 billion. And then Tuesday, he had sort of a bad day on Tuesday. One day, that dropped by 13 billion. So you think you've had a bad day if one of your nice red trucks turns up with a whole bunch of extra body work on it. Just think of having a day where you lost 13 billion.
Those are numbers I don't even begin to understand, Keith. Freddie, take it away.
All right. Well, I have just one more thing to add, Bob. I've noticed some new currency circulating around town. I don't know if I can, I guess that'll show up. So here's a $1 bill, and I don't see Kathy on the screen. You know, it costs a little bit to plug our businesses. So what do you think? 5 times face value, be fair?
Well, I think I better think about it for a week, but we'll come up with something.
All right. Well, you know, just think about this one too, because there's another one here, and the stock's doing pretty well. So,
well, you just remember last week the big Thompson Sanitary plug that we got. So all that goes together, but that'll give me some ammo.
Fair enough. Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Freddie.
All right, on to our program today. We've got a good one. I'm going to turn it over to Keith to introduce our presenter today.
Today we have Paula Miranda from the Port of Newport. Paula was hired by the Port of Newport in May of 2019. Prior to joining the port, Paula spent 12 years as the Deputy Executive Director and Real Estate Business Development Manager for what was formerly known as the Port of St. Helens and rebranded as the Port of Columbia County in 2018. During her tenure, she worked as interim director on 2 occasions. Before the Port of Columbia County, Miranda spent 5 years working at the Port of Portland in the areas of contract administration, property management, and tenant negotiation, while providing support in many areas of port development work. Before entering into her almost 19 years of port industry, Paula worked for 2 title companies in the commercial and residential field. Paula was born and raised in Brazil and has spent the last 31 years in the United States, 26 of those in Oregon. Welcome, Paula.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the invitation. And I had to highlight the fact that I was born and raised in Brazil because everybody's always puzzled about my accent. So there you go. That's what it is. And it's not Spanish, it's Portuguese for those that always confuse. Brazil speaking Spanish, we do speak Portuguese. Although I do speak Spanish too, but I had to learn that. But anyway, I just also want to let you know that I am actually a former Rotarian. In my 12 years in Columbia County, I was a part of the Rotary Club of St. Helens. And I meant to join the Rotary here, but as you may imagine, once you start a new job, there's a lot of challenges and a lot of time and a lot of membership to be part of it. So, but eventually I would like to do that. And thanks again for the invitation. What I thought I would start with today is kind of giving you a kind of general information about what ports are and then talk a bit about the Port of Newport and eventually where we stand today. So I'm gonna try to see if I can share my screen here. So let me see if this will work. Let's see here. Oh, there you go. Can you guys see this?
Yes, we do, Paula.
Okay, great. Oops, let me not start from the questions. Start from the beginning, how about that? Just for a lot of folks don't really understand how ports were created and what they're all about, because in most cases, folks think that ports are either a terminal or there are, if you have a marina, that's what it's about. Some ports have airports, and that's what it's all about. But the reality is, so ports were created by the Oregon Revised Statute 777 with the intent of and first of all, they are part of special districts, which most people don't understand if we're part of the county or part of the city. What exactly are we? And ports are actually created for very specific purpose. And that's what special districts are. Special districts are like the fire departments, the PUDs, and because they were created for a special focus. And our focus, tends to be towards several things. In most ports in Oregon, which we have 23 of them, were created for recreational purpose, commercial purpose, economic development services in general. And we have airports, we have marinas, we have terminals. So logistics, it's a real big part of what ports do. And in some cases, ports are very small, but they're crafted for whatever community they serve. So, you know, if your community, and in the case of Newport, it's a coastal town, and we look at what can this port help to benefit this community. So in our cases, you know, we focus on the marinas, both the recreational and the commercial marinas. We have been trying to bring in cargo into our international terminal. So we do have a terminal here, but we do not own the airport, which is actually owned by the city of Newport. In most cases, ports tend to own airports. I actually worked for 2 previous ports that did own airports. So it really varies in how that's put together. And the Port of Newport in particular was created quite a while ago. So we're older than a lot of ports in Oregon. We had our first meeting in 1910. So we precede a lot of some states agencies. Today, and originally there were 4 officials that created that port. And today we have 5 elected officials that are, as I mentioned, elected by the people to become part of our Board of Commissioners. Jim Burke is our president. Gil Sylvia is our vice president. Walter Chuck is our secretary, and we also have Commissioners Jeff Lucky and Kelly Radford. So those are our current commissioners. Those commissioners are elected every couple of years. So they can get reelected, but that way there's always, if people feel like they still have more work to do, they try to get reelected, but there's always changes. And with changes, obviously comes different priorities, but the general concept of the Board of Commissioners is to listen to their community and what they feel like it's really needed and how the port should behave in accordance. So yeah, here's just a historic photo of, what the port used to look like back in the 40s. I don't quite have one from 1910, but at least I thought I had an older one just to see how the port used to look like. So the Port of Newport district, it's about 59 square miles and runs from Outer Rock to Seal Rock. So it goes just a little bit beyond Newport, but it's kind of sort of support the Newport community. You probably can read that yourselves, but I'm gonna go ahead and read this. Our mission is to build and maintain waterfront facilities, promote and support projects and programs and cooperations with other community organizations and businesses that will retain and create new jobs and increase community economic development. The vision of the Port of Newport is the Port of Newport will serve as the premier Oregon coast port for the commercial fishing fleets. Sorry, got things popping up here. For recreational fishing and tourism, and for ocean observation and marine research support. We will be one of the top 2 Oregon coast ports for waterborne commerce, while protecting and enhancing the beauty and integrity of the natural environment, which is the foundation of working waterfront communities. I'm gonna expand this here. The reality is ports have a very, very ample powers, let me say. We can do so many things, from bay, river, harbor improvements, have agreement with other ports, contracts with the federal government. We can create IGAs with other cities, the state, other governmental entities anyway. We can assist public bodies within port boundaries. We may acquire real estate and personal property and assist the community businesses with those properties. The ports have authority over harbors, wharf lines, and navigations. Port maintain tags, pilotage service. I mean, there's so many things. There's a whole laundry list. And again, every port may choose, some of those things to focus on and dedicate in order to keep that going. And just because we are not dealing with something today doesn't mean we won't be dealing with that tomorrow. Again, it's going to really depend on our needs and what our whoever manages the port along with the board decides that they want to do. And as far as operations, we have several properties that we operate. You may be familiar with North Commercial Marina, and I'll get more into details into each one of those. We have the Newport International Terminal, South Beach Recreational Marina, and the South Beach RV Park. Along with that, we in some of those same areas, we also have leases with tenants, some of them large, some of them very small. Some of those may include England Marine over here at North Marina, Rogue Brewery, NOAA, OSU, and Oregon Coast Aquarium, plus other small, tenants within each one of those areas. With that, we operate the port with about 24 full-time employees, and that most of those are operational employees. They are out and about maintaining and servicing those operational areas. So here in North Commercial, where the Port of Newport office is located, we have several docks. That's where you're going to see a lot of the commercial docks. You see starting here where I am, Dock 7 is where a lot of the fishing vessels are. And Dock 5 along with that. The Dock 5, it's actually got some of the larger vessels because the slips are a little bit larger. As you can see here in this picture, right now is crab season. So we're extremely busy working with the fishermen. As you may know, I'm sure all of you know that Oregon is famous for crabs. So therefore, this is it. This is the time when we're going after those little creatures, and those guys are very busy. Dock 5 is right. It's a little bit going more towards the town on Bay Boulevard, and then we got Dock 3, which is getting closer towards the processing plant, and Dock 1 is just about where the sea lions stand to where you have the viewing area for the sea lions anyway. Again, this is where we get a lot of our economic impact, because not necessarily for the docks directly, but from the fishermen. Without these docks, it would be impossible to get the fleet that we have here today. The commercial fishing fleet here in Newport is actually the largest in Oregon, and is considered, if I don't mistake, is number 10 in terms of value of seafood brought into the United States. So that's quite something. Not too far from where we are going south on Bay Boulevard, we got the international terminal. And I put these two pictures here just to highlight a bit of where the terminal was and where we are today. As you can see in this picture, maybe many of you don't know, but there were two ships sunk in the area in order to create that terminal. This, unfortunately, I believe is somewhere around 2010, there was some leak on oil leaks, some issues, some environmental issues that basically the port had to reopen everything and trying to fix it. Today, the port does have a bond out there. A lot of people think that this bond is just simply for economic development purpose, as to trying to bring cargo here, and partially it was, but also it was to fix some of this environmental issue that occurred there. Today we have a pretty nice terminal there that the fishing fleet uses. However, we also are currently trying to bring in some cargo business, because that it does have a huge economic impact for the area. So we are going after that. We have been talking to folks. Unfortunately, the whole COVID thing kind of put a damp a little bit on going after that kind of business, but we'll continue working towards that, and hopefully eventually we'll bring some business that can utilize some of the property we already have, or develop the additional 9 acres we have on this property. The South Beach Marina, this was, it was basically built in the 70s and 80s. As you can see, it's quite large, and it's actually one of the largest recreational marina also on the Oregon coast. This is actually does bring quite a bit of revenue for the port, and I know it's very important for the recreational of the community. And it's been challenging. It was challenging in the beginning of COVID because we had to shut down the ramp, and that is mostly to work together with the community and trying to avoid tourists coming to the area at the time. As things progress and there was a better understanding of how to do this, we opened up, and along with that, we have over 600 slips here. So again, it's quite large. And then we do also have next door the RV park, which is also one of the largest in the area. I tell you, along with the whole COVID thing, people definitely found their way out on the road, and they have been coming to our area quite a bit. We probably were sold out for a good part of the summer, all the way through the fall. I don't think this is going to stop anytime soon. People have most definitely learned how to be on the road, and we expect this year to be a breaking year for us when it comes down to the RV park. And in the same area where we have the RV park and the marina is just about where the Seafood and Wine Festival take place. Every year we lease or we give a permit to the chamber to do their Seafood and Wine Festival. Unfortunately, this year, because of COVID, that will be on a very small scale. I think it's mostly going virtual. So as I mentioned, we do have some large tenants. We had OSU was one of the first tenants we had in the South Beach. They came back here in the 60s. And I think it was an effort from the city and the port to attract research business, and we started basically this whole, because the Newport is very well known for the research that we have here and the science between OSU and NOAA, and now actually with the aquarium as well. And I guess it started back in the 60s. The port literally leased this property to OSU for $1. And today we look at it, we're kind of like, what? We could make more money out of this. But it is, again, back then, I'm sure it was a good deal because it was an effort to help the community, to bring more business to the community. So, and then in about 10 years ago, the port brought in NOAA with the assistance of the state and some bonds and so on. And we just refinanced that bond last year with the concept of saving monies for the port, so we can actually have funds to put down as down payment for future projects, which we kind of felt like we are constantly tied up, with everything else we had, and we never had the funds to do so. So that will help us quite a bit. This lease with NOAA is good for another 10 years. We expect that maybe within 3 years or so of the lease expiring, most likely we'll start negotiations. Hopefully we can maintain them here. And that's our intent. Once this lease expires and we start fresh, this should bring a huge amount of revenues for the port moving forward, and hopefully we can take some of those revenues and put into other areas of the port that kind of got neglected throughout the years. And so what is next? All of this information that I provided you, it's pretty much available in our website, but if you look at our budget, you realize we actually have a whole laundry list of projects that we're trying to complete this year. And some of them, unfortunately, may have to move on to next year because several things. Part of it is, some of those depends on grant, and some of those were just kind of minimized a bit by the COVID thing happening, and we kind of just decided maybe we wait. Well, some of those that we're really putting a lot of effort right now is it's the Port Dock 5 pier, which is right on Bay Boulevard. There is a pier here that it's been closed off for automobile for quite a while. So the fishermen have to literally carry all their stuff for a long period of between the Bay Boulevard all the way to the docks. They cannot drive it right to the boats. So we obtain a grant from the Economic Development Administration, and but there's such a long process whenever you're dealing with a federal agency. The $2.4 million grant that we received, it's actually a 50-50. The port is paying 50%, and the federal government pays 50% of that. We just hire, first we had to hire a project manager. We just now hire a contractor to get that going. We have to do everything, even though we're government, we still got to follow all the permits like anybody else. And we had to follow what they call the in-water work, which is the time that we have to build anything in the water. That period runs from November to mid-February. And unfortunately, this project, because it took so long to get the federal government to let us get going, it's delaying things a bit. So we asked for an extension. We're hoping we get it. If we do, then most likely we will be finished with the in-water work portion about 5th of March, and then have the entire project completed by the end of May. And that will completely upgrade that pier. Eventually, we would like to do some replacement on the dock itself. And we also right now trying to do some upgrade on both Port Dock 5 and 3 on the electrical side of things, because things are so outdated. We don't want people to have any problems with first of all, it's a huge liability when the electrical connections are not working correct. So that is very important, and we're spending. We intend to spend somewhere around $900,000 to do that project. And the Port Dock 7 replacement is an ongoing thing. This is the one area that we could certainly use a lot of work, because boats keep getting bigger. You know, they keep bringing their boats over to the Port of Toledo and making them larger and longer, and we just don't have enough space to accommodate some of this. And quite frankly, that dock keep falling apart. As a matter of fact, with the storm we had, we lost about 60 feet of the dock. So there were 2 boats attached to it. We had to call the Coast Guard. It was quite something. And we don't want that type of stuff happening anymore. And we are this year looking for grants to do the plan. Just the plan itself is usually around a couple $100,000. So if we get the plans done, then we can ask for grant to replace the dock, which would be millions of dollars. But we can't ask for replacement without the actual plan. We also spending about $600,000 in the South Beach Marina electrical upgrades. And we do intend, and we put it aside this year because, again, with COVID and everything, but we do intend to do some upgrades to our RV park over on the other side. We do have basically 3 RV parks. We have the main one with all the hookups. We have a dry camp. And when we have across the street next to Motel 6, we have the Annex, which is a little bit, you know, we got the hookups, but it's a little poor. And the other thing we're also trying to complete is the marketing for efforts for the international terminal, because we do want to attract cargo here, and we gotta get that going. We're right now applying for grant for that plan. And I forgot to mention here, we also just received a small grant from the county to do some study on the seawall at Rogue. That seawall is in bad shape, and we definitely want to make sure there's no liability there and that we can keep a good tenant still in place. And if it's failing, that could be a problem for us. So it's generically what we have going on. So I don't know if you guys have any questions. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Hopefully I didn't take too much of your time.
All right, anybody have any questions for Paula before we move on? I don't see anybody. Well, thanks, Paula, for presenting today. And as a former Rotarian, you understand the efforts that Rotary has taken to combat polio. So as a thank you for speaking today, we'd like to vaccinate 50 children in your name. And we hope that you'll come back to Rotary and join us here in the club. We'd love to have you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I'm trying to get back to the meeting, but I can't figure it out. Anyway.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll turn things over here to Secretary Jim for attendance.
Thank you, President Sexton. Today's a good day. We have 32 of 55 for a 58.2%. Without makeups applied, and with makeups, we're at 68.4%. Member incentive is Spence Neville, and I don't see him here today, so that's going to add another $5 to that kitty. And one of these days, somebody's going to get the big, big bucks. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Sonia for the 50-50.
All right, thank you. I'm not even going to try to share my wheel today because I know it's not going to work. So we have $65. So $32.50 goes to the big winner, and that would be Jeffo.
All right. Jeff, I think you're muted if
Yeah,
you're trying.
that's
There you
right.
go.
Let's give it to the Salvation Army and wish our current members the very best.
All right, thanks, Jeff. And thanks, Sonia, sorry. Let's see, do we have a social media award? John?
We do, Freddie. This week's winner is Raina Matson.
Right, congrats, Raina. And let's see, next week's meeting is a member spotlight. We'll have Levi Kittle with Associated Cleaning talk to us, so that ought to be a good one. Be sure to join us next week, same time, same place. And let's see, Jim, would you like to take us out? Jim Graham, would you like to take us out with the 5-way test?
I would. The 5-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And most importantly, is it fun?
All right, see everybody next time. Enjoy the sunshine.